Sugar is absolutely everywhere in our society. If you walk into the supermarket, it is in so many of the food products, even those that you wouldn't expect it to be in. And so it's not entirely your fault if you are addicted. In fact, it's no surprise that so many people are addicted to sugar because it's one of the most addictive substances around. But if you're looking to impact your health for the positive, one of the best things that you can do is to reduce or cut out sugar. And that's because it's responsible for some of the biggest killers out there, from cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and so on. But it can also make you feel terrible in the short term, from putting you on a roller coaster of energy across your day to giving you poor focus and poor concentration. So what I want to do in this video is help you to reduce the cravings, because no matter how powerful your willpower is, if you've got the cravings really strong, eventually it's going to run out and you're going to give in. But if you can reduce those cravings, you're going to make it a lot easier for you to reduce your sugar intake. And this is the strategy that the majority of people will find the most effective for cutting out sugar, but it's also the way that I found the most effective for cutting out sugar, and it's something that I can do long term. So if you're looking for a long-term solution, this is it. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven, for those of you that don't know me. And today we're talking about sugar. This is one of the most important topics, I think, in regards to health. And one of the biggest impacts you can make on your health is to cut it out, or at least reduce it as much as possible. One of the reasons why it's so hard to do this is because sugar increases a hormone called dopamine. Dopamine is your feel-good hormone, which is why you get a huge amount of pleasure every time you have sugar. But the problem is that it's also the reason why you keep coming back for more. And you may have noticed this pattern in yourself, that the more sugar you have, the more crap food that you have, the more you keep coming back for more. And you never really get to the point of feeling satisfied. You may have also noticed if you've managed to cut out sugar, even for a few days to a week, you'll notice that how you have much less cravings for sugar itself. And you can even look at the chocolate bar or the sweet or that sugary snack and actually not want it as much as you did when you're having lots of sugar. So it's one of the first things that you can do, is to actually cut out sugar and just go on a short fast, at least initially, because that will just help to reset your body and you'll find that the cravings will reduce so much more. But if you find it very difficult, what I would suggest is to go through the 4 things I'm about to go through, because if you follow these things, you'll find that the sugar cravings will reduce quite dramatically, and you'll find that cutting out sugar or reducing it almost automatic. You'll probably do it without realizing it, but at the very least, you'll find it so much easier than if you don't follow these steps. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is to increase the quality of your protein, your fat and your fiber, but also the quantity of these things. There's a few reasons for this, but the protein and the fat are the macronutrients that are really going to give you that satiety. They're going to make you feel full and satisfied, and are going to be the macronutrients that are going to reduce the cravings that you're going to get. This is the complete opposite to sugar. Sugar really doesn't do this very effectively at all. But if you have high levels of fat and protein, then you're going to cut out a lot, probably the majority of the cravings that you get. So the meals that you have across a day, make sure they're good quality protein and fat. Now the fiber is going to help. One of the main reasons fiber is going to help is going to slow the transit of the food and the sugar into your bloodstream. And one of the biggest things you want to do to reduce cravings is to reduce the amount of sugar spikes you get in your blood. This is one of the reasons why having sugar on an empty stomach is one of the worst things that you can do, and one of the best ways of increasing your cravings across the day. Because having sugar on an empty stomach will spike that blood sugar, which means that you'll have more cravings and you're going to want to do that more and more and more. If you have fiber there and the fat and protein, it will slow it down and then flatten it. So that's what you want to do. And this is actually one of the most incredible hacks that I came across, is that if you simply have your fiber first, followed by your fat and protein, and if you are going to have sugar, have it at the end of a meal, you'll find that you'll reduce that sugar craving, mainly because you're going to reduce the blood sugar spike. You can actually reduce this spike by about 73% by having fiber first and having your sugar last. And I did a video on this that I will link to at the end of this video that I highly suggest you watch, because simply by changing the order in which you eat your food, the order in which you eat your meals can have a dramatic effect on your blood sugar levels, but also your craving. So I highly suggest you watch that at the end of this one. Now, number 2 is to cut out ultra processed foods. Food companies design these foods to make you keep coming back for more. They're designed to give you a huge amount of pleasure in the short term, but never really feel satisfied, so you keep coming back. And one of the ways they do this is having high levels of salt, sugar, and the bad types of fats that don't have very much protein or fiber, so they're not going to give you the type of satiety that you need. And so the more ultra processed foods you have, the more cravings you're likely to get. So try to stick to natural foods, whether it's beef, chicken, ideally good quality meat, so ideally grass-fed if you can get it, having beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, having vegetables, basically anything that is a single ingredient. If you are buying food that has bazillion ingredients at the back, then it's probably not going to be that healthy for you. So try to cut that out or reduce it as much as possible. You'll see a big difference in how you get your cravings. Number 3 is to shorten your eating window, and so aka intermittent fasting. So for example, I aim to eat between 10 and 6, and I don't eat anything outside of those hours. That's really important because that gives your body a time of not eating. It gives your digestive system a bit of a rest, but it's also great for trying to level out your blood sugar levels, which is going to be really impactful for your cravings. I also avoid snacking in between meals, and that is something that I used to do quite a lot when I was younger. I would have snacks in between the meals and also after my last meal of the day, so right before bed. That's just going to put you on a roller coaster on your blood sugar levels. It's also terrible for your teeth, which is why I got a lot of cavities when I was younger. So trying to shorten that window and reduce the snacking. What that will also encourage in your body is the breakdown of protein and fat to produce its own sugar. And the advantage of doing this is it's a slower release, which means you're not going to get these ups and downs so much, but you'll get a more consistent release of energy right across that day, which means you're not going to have that same craving for sugar. Number 4 is to replace any sugary snacks with something that's a little bit more healthy. And if you just pay a little bit of time and attention to what you're eating and what you could actually swap it with, you can actually be surprised about how you can swap these foods and still have the same level of satisfaction and enjoyment. So for example, I used to, at the end of my dinner particularly, always crave something a little bit sugary or a little bit sweet, whether it was a dessert, a biscuit, whatever it was. What I started doing was swapping that for pistachio nuts, which is, I think, is the nicest type of nuts you can buy, and 90% dark chocolate. These two things, I only have a tiny bit of the chocolate, very, very, very low in sugar. It's got some great health benefits. And the nuts are full of fat and fiber, which actually add to the satiety. And I actually get the same level of enjoyment, if not more, than some other of the sugary snacks that I get. So look for ways in which you can swap the unhealthy foods for slightly more healthy foods, and you can be surprised at the level of enjoyment you can get from the healthier foods, but you're certainly going to get less cravings by doing that. My final tip is to look and check every label that you buy in the supermarket. I know that can seem like a lot of time. Maybe just do this on the products that you don't know as well, and you'll be surprised about the amount of sugar you'll find in things you would expect. For example, try looking for bread without sugar. It's incredible how many different types of bread in the supermarket, even those that look healthy, the wholemeal bread, for example, or the sourdough bread, and for whatever reason, they just decide to add in some added sugar. So try to look for products like that don't have sugar. And again, that's gonna help just to level out that blood glucose curve and give you less cravings. Now, I've recently completed a short PDF on the 5 foundational and critical rules I believe we should all be following if we're looking to lose weight, be healthier, and have more energy and focus across a day. This isn't a diet, and nor is it something that is going to make you feel hungry all the time like a lot of the restrictive diets. These are foundational rules that I think give you a lot of flexibility, and if you can follow, I think you're going to see huge results. It's completely free. If you go into the description of this video, all you have to do is click the link, fill in your email, and it will get sent straight to you. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to reduce your blood glucose level even further and do it without having to change what you eat, I highly recommend the next video, which is changing the order in which you eat the food in a given meal. It's amazing the effects this can have. So some really easy hacks to be able to then have a huge effect on your health and a great way of losing weight. So that's going to pop up just there in just a second, but just before it does, don't forget you can get £10 off your first bag of organic natural coffee. You can get 10% off Vivo Barefoot minimalist shoes that I wear every day. You can also get 10% off Athanaze, a superfood specifically formulated for men, and 15% off Fussy, which is a natural deodorant that doesn't contain any of the harmful chemicals. I'll see you on that video or on the next. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.